All right, good morning. Let's go and get started. Give me just a moment to pull up the calendar. All right, Mr. Florio, what is the announcement in your matter?
Your Honor, I have two matters with the court. The first one, I believe, is the first position on the calendar, Ms. Christina Payphone. If I may have a pretrial with the court on that matter. The second matter is Michael Thomas, Your Honor, and if I may have a pretrial with the court and Officer Stanley in that matter as well.
Okay. And Ms. Smith, I know you're here on a separate matter. Is your witness here?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, let me take that first. I'll create a breakout room. Is she in your office?
She is.
All right, give me just a moment. And then I'll come back and we'll have a pretrial with Mr. Florio. Who is the state on both of those matters?
Your Honor, Ms. Jansen is on Ms. Pavlov, position 1, and Ms. Blunt is on Thomas, position 3.
Okay, great, thanks.
In Your Honor, I represented Mr. Thomas. I believe that Mr. Florio may have been retained in that matter.
Good morning, Ms. Jansen.
Good morning.
This is Attorney Render. We actually have a case together for bond this morning. Can I give you a ring real quick?
Yes, I have to take leave from the court because I have other cases. So
It should be brief. I want to ask you something right before the judge gets on, if possible.
Well,
she's
I'm
here.
back. So let me
Sorry.
create a breakout room for just a moment. Assign Mr. Florio, I believe Ms. Blunt, Ms. Jansen, Mr. Florio, Ms. Stanley, is that correct?
And Mr. Lewis, Judge, on Michael Thomas.
And Mr. Lewis. Brandon Lewis?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me take Mr. Florio's first,
Okay.
unless he's representing one of Mr. Florio's clients.
Michael
Your
Thomas
Honor,
on it.
Mr. Lewis and I both represent Michael Thomas, Your Honor. Mr. Thomas, yes, ma'am. He retained me recently, but I think he wanted both of us to continue to represent him.
Fantastic, hang on.
Ms. Jansen, I think they're trying to get you in the breakout room, but I think the judge will have to add you.
I need to be invited back in.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, both Pavone has been continued. So she can go back because that's been continued for 2 weeks.
Your Honor,
Yes.
the victim's family is present. May they be excused, and I just need them to know that I will call them as soon as court is over and explain what happened.
Yes, it has been continued for the purposes, there's a new district attorney, so it's been continued to determine whether or not that district attorney is going to remain on the case, but they're going to call you as soon as this hearing's over, and you'll get a notice of the next one as soon as court's over. We're not going to hear anything this morning, but you're going to get a notice of the next one for sure, Ms. Penn, okay?
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So you're welcome to leave, and then they'll buzz you as soon as we're done here. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. All right, Michael Thomas has been continued for 30 days. Let's see. Mr. Tolles, what's the announcement in Mr. Rutledge?
We're ready, Judge.
Your Honor, if me and Attorney Tolles could approach in a breakout room with the court.
Sure.
As well as myself, Judge.
All right, give me just a second. Who else is on the, that's Mr. McDowell. Hang on just 1 minute. Ignore my invitation, Ms. Jansen.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning. Again, Mr. Rutledge has been continued to Monday, November 9th. So the state may utilize the pod for any potential witnesses. From a planning perspective, those witnesses, those names will need to be submitted to my office so that they can go, so that those names can go downstairs to the sheriff's office as well prior to that date. Mr. Walker, you're here on Mr. Barge.
Good morning, Your Honor. Yes, Christopher Walker here on behalf of Mr. Brandon Barge. That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And is he ready to go forward on his arraignment?
He's in jail, Your Honor. So
I'm asking if you're ready. Yes. All right.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, great. Mr. Barge can come out. Deputy.
Yes, sir. It's coming up now.
All right, great. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Barge. If the jail can unmute, please. Good morning, Mr. Barge. You're here this morning for an arraignment. You're represented by Mr. Walker as your attorney. Mr. Walker, is he waiving his right to be in my physical presence this morning?
Yes, Your Honor. He is waiving his rights for being your physical presence, correct?
All right, and do you intend to enter a not guilty plea on his behalf and waive formal arraignment?
That is correct, Your Honor. Yes.
Okay. Sir, a not guilty plea has been entered on your behalf. You can go back.
And Your Honor, a consent bond was submitted to your office for review for Mr. Barge yesterday.
Okay, I'll get that signed then today as well. All right. He can go back. Thank you.
Thank you, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Walker. You can be excused. Good to see you. Have a good weekend.
You too, Your Honor. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Mr. McDowell.
All right. Great. Theodore Brown. Mr. Render, that's yours.
Is he here?
He's here at the bottom. Mr. Render.
I'll text him, Your Honor.
Thank you. Stand by, Mr. Brown.
Apologies, Your Honor.
What's the announcement in your matter?
It's a consent, and I was busy drafting the order, and I had my Zoom on mute. I apologize.
All right. Let's see. And it's a consent bond. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, in the amount of $15,000.
Okay, great. I know you're submitting that, but he's also in for arraignment. So is he waiving his right to be in my physical presence?
And Your Honor, it's kind of a weird situation. I filed a bond motion while he was in magistrate court. He got bound over, and so that's why I'm doing the bond hearing. But essentially, I'm not retained on the new charges. So, Miss Angela Williams, I believe,
Yeah, but you were retained on. Listen. I mean, we'll go through. I don't believe that it can be retained for just a partial matter. And if you intend to be retained for just a partial matter, then there should have been a motion to withdraw at the end of it. I understand. I'll submit your bond. I'll sign the consent bond. But as it stands right now, you're the attorney of record. So if you wish to waive his arraignment for the purposes of today, you may do so, and then I'll consider any motion to withdraw. Does that make sense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Is he waiving his right to be in my physical presence?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And is he entering a not guilty plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, great. He can go back. And as soon as, and Mr. Render, you can be excused as soon as you got it. If you'll just forward it to my office, I'll get it signed.
Sounds good. Apologies for the delay, Your Honor.
All right, not a problem. Thanks. He can go back. Francis Jones. Looks like we've got a whole set of stuff. So is it a global resolution? What's the announcement?
No, Your Honor, I need to go to the breakout room with the state and Officer Stanley.
I'm handling the case, Judge. Laura Jansen. Thank you.
Right. All right, you guys should see that invitation. Give us just a moment, Ms. Jones. All right, what's the announcement?
Your Honor, we are going to withdraw the criminal law violation solely for purposes of today's VOP hearing with the reservation that it will come back after disposition of that criminal case, which he has that on. So we would be going forward with the technical violations, Your Honor.
As a result of that, is it a full stipulation, Ms. D. Williams?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, let's handle the arraignment first. Is she waiving, first of all, for the purposes of both of these hearings, is she waiving her right to be in my physical presence?
Yes, Your Honor. It's a male.
Okay, I apologize. I should have known that with the junior. I apologize, sir. So he's waiving his right to be in my physical presence. What about for the arraignment? Is he entering a plea of not guilty?
He is entering a plea of not guilty, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Jones, you're also here for a petition for violation of your probation in 2018 CR 02425. It's my understanding that for the purposes of this hearing, that the state is withdrawing the criminal law violation and proceeding on the technical violations. As a result, it's a full stipulation. Is that correct, Ms. D. Williams?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, please place that on the record.
Thank you, Judge. The defendant has violated probation in the following ways. Failure to pay as ordered. The defendant is currently $493 in arrears on court-ordered monies, making the last $200 payment on June 29, 2020. His next violation is violation of special conditions to get alcohol and drug evaluation and treatment. And the last one is to submit to HIV testing, which Ms. D. Williams and Officer Stanley just discussed the resolution of that. He has failed to show proof of completing any of the court-ordered special conditions. The recommendation now, Your Honor, is time that he be released on time served and report back to probation under the same conditions within 24 hours.
Is that your understanding as to the stipulations, Ms. D. Williams?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, therefore I will find by preponderance of the evidence you have violated your probation. I will revoke your probation, however, I will release you on time served. You are to report within 24 hours of your release to probation. Do you understand that, Mr. Jones? If you can say out loud for the record, please, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can go back. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is the announcement in Jerome Dixon?
Your Honor, the state has not received any paperwork on Jerome Dixon. I understand this is a misdemeanor probation case, but we don't have a petition or anything like that.
Good morning. Assume that might be the same announcement for you, Ms. Reddick.
I don't have a petition. I have spoken with my client, so I have an idea.
All right, here's what's going to happen. Mr. Clark, you need to.
I would ask that he be.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I would ask that he be released, Your Honor. Mr. Dixon has been in custody since October 20th. He has significant health issues. The defense is actually prepared to go forward should the probation officer show up, because again, I've spoken to Mr. Dixon and I'm aware of what should be the alleged violation. Because if the probation officer is not prepared to go forward, then we would
Is the
ask for-
probation officer even here? Is anybody here from misdemeanor probation? All right, I don't see him. I'm going to dismiss the petition. He can be released. If you'll prepare an order to that extent, Ms. Reddick, and send it to us, I'll sign it.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thanks. You can go back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Shondera Keith.
Your Honor, that's my client. If I could have a moment to speak with him about the recommendation that I received.
Sure. Give me just a moment.
Thank you.
Mr. Heath, good morning. They're going to speak with you in a breakout room about a recommendation, then you'll come back. Give me just a moment to create that room. Do you need anybody else in there with you, Ms. Thurman, or is it just you and Mr. Heath?
Just me and Mr. Heath. Thank you.
All right, great.
Your Honor, I think is the jail back?
Yes.
Okay, I see. Your Honor, we're ready.
What's the announcement?
Yes, Your Honor, we are stipulating to the violations and we'd like to be heard on disposition.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Heath. You're here this morning for a petition for violation of your probation. You're represented by Ms. Thurman as your attorney. It's my understanding it's a stipulation of violation. We should be heard on disposition. If the state will please place the violations on the record.
Mr. Heath has violated the terms and conditions of probation in the following particulars. He's failed to pay and that the defendant is currently $747 in arrears on court-ordered monies without ever making a payment. He's failed to avoid injurious and vicious habits, in that the defendant has continued to test positive while in the day reporting center. He tested positive for cocaine on or about July 16, 2020, July 9, 2020, July 6, 2020, and January 30th of 2020. He's violated the, he did not complete the special conditions to provide proof of mental health treatment. There's a violation of special condition and palm waiver to enter and complete the day reporting center. The defendant signed palm waivers on June 18, 2019, December 17 of 2019, and April 3rd of 2020, also July 21st of 2020, to enter and successfully complete the day reporting center program, in which he has failed to do. The defendant was discharged from the program for non-compliance.
All right. Is that your understanding? Is the stipulations just a violation, Ms. Thurman?
That is, Your Honor.
All right. I'll find by preponderance of the evidence that he's violated his probation. What is the state's recommendation?
The state's recommendation is to revoke 9 months in the Clayton County Jail. Upon service of that time, the defendant is to return to the original orders of probation minus the DRC and report within 24 hours of being released.
How much time is left?
5 years, 7 months, and 19 days.
Does anybody know whether or not that's enough time for Judge Mason to consider him to be revoked into drug court?
I'm not sure.
Judge, I know with drug court, I think you have to have a sentence of 7 years or more.
Yeah, I thought it was 7. All right.
Yeah, his original probation was 7 years.
But he was not under first offender, was he?
He was.
He's
He
under
was?
first offender now.
Yeah, he
Yes,
He is currently under first offender.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
So-
He would qualify for drug court at this time.
Because we're running out of time. How much time is left on his, okay, so he was sentenced to 7 years probation, yes?
Correct.
And how much is the maximum amount of time on that offense? He was sentenced
Ag
to?
assault, so it'd be 20 years, Your Honor.
So it'd be 20. So, but it's a violent offense, so he would not be eligible for drug court. That would be the disqualifier. Okay. How long's the wait for RSAP?
Judge, right now it's really in the air because of COVID and everything. So it used to be like a 9-month wait, but right now it's like a hold on transportation and stuff.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Okay, Ms. Thurman, what would you like to say on behalf of your client?
Your Honor, actually, that was my my ask of the court, would be that he would be sentenced, able to serve that time in RSAT so that he can get some help. Other than that, we're just asking that he be given credit for time served. If RSAT isn't available, maybe some other integrated program, because he does have mental health issues. If there's space available, if he could be moved to one of those facilities as soon as possible, that would be our ask of the court.
All right, what I intend to do is revoke 1 year to serve, but suspend that upon his entry and successful completion into RSAT and any aftercare program that is available.
Okay.
And then for that to be monitored, remind me, Ms. Stanley, does the requirement of the DOC, I think I have to tack on to return him to probation after that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it'll be 1 year to serve, but here's the deal, sir. That's going to be suspended. You're not going to have to do the whole 1 year upon your entry and successfully completion into RSAT. and any aftercare. Once you've done that portion, you're going to be returned to the original order of probation. And then at that time, you can submit any petition to be considered for termination. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to revoke your serve suspended on RSAT. Upon your successful completion of that, you'll be returned to probation. Does that make sense?
So I sit here until I'm done.
You sit here until you're transported. Yes, sir.
And that's, I know it's like you said, the wait was 9 months, so you would probably wait 9 months before I go.
I mean, it could be less than 9 months, depending on what everything looks like. But it's my belief that you need some help. And we tried that with the DRC. So this is the next step.
So would that 9 months count? Like if
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir. What'd you say?
Would those 9 months count? Like if I sat 9 months before I shipped off, would that count towards the 12 months?
It would.
So I'll be doing no longer than a year period.
It's a year. You're doing no longer than a year. A year to serve suspended upon entry and successful completion. Okay. You can go back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, you're welcome. I think that concludes our calendar this morning. So you guys have a good rest of your